I think it's also you becoming more fully who you are. And that's why my house helps me because it's my own expression. And I see my expression every day. I come home in it. I go away. Yeah, I jump into new adventures from my house. So it's my check-in and my check-out point.
Are you ready to reclaim your life from exhaustion and expand the possibilities of what life can be? If so, I'm your guide, Evelyn.Energy, work-life geek and engineer-turned-resiliency coach on a mission to redefine how we work, live, and utilize our energy. Each episode, I dig deep with my guests as they share their story, spark, and strategies for developing our own unique work-life blend. This is Engineering Serenity. Episode 17, Serene Spaces with Esther Felix.
Hey, nice to be here.
Today, we are talking with the lovely Miss Esther, who works in the world of Feng Shui, and we are going to talk about her journey and where we're going. But before we get started, I'd like to ask a few basic questions so that we can get to know you better. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm totally ready.
Yeah. So, what is your full name and pronouns?
My name is Esther Felix. You can call me Esther.
What is your age-ish?
41.
What career or industry do you work in?
I work in the industry of personal development combined with spatial design.
Cool. How many hours do you typically work per week?
On average, about 24.
Okay.
Let's say.
Do you like your career?
Very, very much.
Ooh, very.
Every day a bit more.
Ooh, that makes it even better. Like it's flowering and blossoming.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you describe your current work-life blend? Where 1 is like, not really, and 5 is yes.
It's, I think, going from 3 to 5.
Okay.
It depends on the day. Today I feel 5.
Nice.
A week before it was 3. But then things starts floating. There's a new flow. So
you're in that building of that harmonic place process. Oh, that's a really good thing to dig into today.
Really.
Where are you located in the world?
Eindhoven.
In the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands. Yes.
Nice. We're neighbors.
Yeah.
What culture were you raised in?
In a village culture, I would say. A small village in the Netherlands, more to the north.
Nice. Describe your household.
Well, I have a son, who is 5, almost 6.
Nice.
And a husband, who's also working here in the neighborhood. So, we live the 3 of us.
Do you have any hobbies?
Yes. Well, I was thinking about it. I think my most important hobby is working on my house, making things in my house. And besides that, I do yoga, meditation. I dance.
But
I like to be creative. It's at the salsa school. Here in Eindhoven. It's called bachata. I hope you know it.
I do not.
Kind of Latin dance.
Nice. And what are you building in the house?
What am I building? Well, it can also be small things. Like since I'm working with Feng Shui, I started sewing.
Okay.
So I made some window covering and
very cool.
A nice cloth for our shoe drawer.
Oh.
I'm repairing my own ceramics with a Japanese technique.
Oh, the one with the golden glue?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So now I dare to buy more expensive cups. I really like ceramics, but it's also very expensive. But now I know how to repair it, and it even gets nicer with the gold. I dare to invest more in it.
Nice.
So
beautiful. So tell me, what are you excited about right now? What's your spark right now?
I'm running a challenge, and it's about making people feel about their house. So had a scientific education. I learned how to rationalize everything, how to understand everything with my head. But I'm on a mission now to make people feel, because I think that's my most important lesson from working with Feng Shui, that you can feel it. You can feel if your environment works for you or not. And I'm exploring how I can make people feel again and use their intuition again in working with their house.
So tell me about how you can feel your house.
Yeah. If I could tell this now in 1 minute, it would be really nice.
We're in a podcast. You don't have to restrain it 2 minutes. This is a conversation. So just explain to me how you feel your house.
Well, the first thing is to slow down, I think. Because when you're rushing, you can't feel. When you're rushing through your house, only busy with your tasks to do, you can't feel how it is. So the first phase is to slow down and start feeling what you feel. So I use things like meditation or visualization. I use creative assignments like making photos, or I make people write about their house. So moments to check in with yourself and feel what you really feel.
And what usually comes up as someone who's new to feeling their house? Like, how would you know you're on the right track? Or
yeah, people ask me often, like, I'm okay about my house. How can I see it's not okay? But I think it's good to realize that like more than 90% of what we perceive in our environment, it's going through our unconscious mind. Like only like 7, even less % is we perceive it consciously. So in order to see your environment for what it is, you should get more to your unconscious levels. And Feng Shui gives words to that. And thinking about your question, how can you feel it? Well, there are certain signs in your environment that when you really look at it, it can be a sign of being more chaotic or restless in your house. Like there are more piles of projects coming into your house, or what I see often is that there is a lot of stuff, or that the house is so tidy that there is no movement possible, like you don't dare to play there, or so it can be 2 directions, or very, very tidy, or it can be a bit, a lot of stuff, but mostly people are not aware of it. They sense that there is something, and there's something which is not right, or you can't choose a color. Or for me, it was, for example, I was working all the time with my living room, and it didn't get cozy, and I didn't know what to do anymore. And I hang all kinds of things on the wall. I painted it, and I took paintings off and hang them on again. And I didn't even close the holes in the wall anymore because it was changing all the time. But I didn't know what to do. So it is this feeling of, there's something needed, but you don't know what. It's a feeling of, actually, some people go away from their house all the time. They plan things outside the house to relax. They meet friends outside the house to relax. They go to a nature, to a forest or something. But your house can be also the place to relax and to be comfortable, and have to start to realize.
And how do you know when it's feeling correct? For example, your living room, like, have you found peace in the living room? What does it feel like now? Because I assume it's not always bad. Like, your house could probably also feel nice.
Yeah, it can be. Well, for me, this looking at my living room was at the same time when I was reorienting what to do with my career. And I started with this education in Feng Shui. And there I learned which color works. So now it feels like things come together. This feeling like, this feels nice. And also when people come to my house who haven't been there for a while, they say like, oh, this really works nicely together. Like this feeling that it's, how can you feel it? It gives peace of mind. I think it's a peace of mind that you don't have to change everything anymore.
Yeah.
Like when I painted the wall, it has been empty for months. And now there's only one small painting on it. Like the feeling that it's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And how did you make that transition to knowing, okay, it's not comfortable, it's not comfortable, it's not comfortable, now it's right? What was that bridge from one to the other?
well, for me, it all started when I had a burnout in my life. It was end of 2019, 2020. And then also there was this COVID virus. So I was more at home. I was slowing down. I was taking better care of myself. And I know at a certain point, I also quit my job. So I was really at home being with myself. And at a certain point, it started to bubble again. Like I felt like, oh, I want to go back to my roots, to working with interior, with people in their houses. Because of my background, I landed in the world of innovation and healthcare technology, but I wasn't really happy anymore there at a certain point. So for me, it was also the transition to becoming more who I am, getting back in my own rhythm. And I listened to podcasts, I think, with Nina Elsoff, who is also my mentor now in Feng Shui. And I don't know, things started to add up. I went to an inspiration session and I was there with my critical mind saying, who's telling me it's working like this? But who invented this?
Yeah.
But I could feel it, that I was touched. I could feel it in my heart that there's something in it for me and I just want to try it.
Where it is an inspiration session about Feng Shui?
Yeah. It was an inspiration session just one afternoon. And after that, I was a bit doubting, like, is this for me? Isn't it too much hocus pocus? I still had that image then that it was hocus pocus. And but a friend of me said, like, it sounds really like you. So, and I could feel it, like it's something you feel in your heart, when it touches you. And so I was curious enough to try it. So I started with the 1 year education in Feng Shui.
How did you move from that I think that's something I see over and over again, especially in this audience, is we're very analytical thinkers. We're in our head. We are looking at the science and the data and the conclusions. And it sounds like that's a background that you also came from, correct?
Yes. And I think actually now you say it, it's like, I've been busy with our house the past year, and one of the things we did was tidying, going to our stuff. And actually this really helped me to find the red line in my life, because I also opened a box with old study stuff at my father's house. And I found an old sketchbook of my study of architecture. And in this sketchbook, I did a project about nature, architecture, and people, like how this is interrelated. And I came across Feng Shui. It was in 2006, I think, 2005, 2006. And I wrote there, like, I'm not going into this. It's too much hocus pocus. So I really used that word. But and then in this project, we had to design a pavilion. And I really designed it from my experience of 1 year in Japan, where I was that year before. And at the end of the project, I was so frustrated because I designed something from my feeling, from my intuition. And the only thing my teachers could say was, you have to analyze it. You have to prove it with scientific data. You have to, and it's my feeling. I want to feel. This is what I have lived through this experience and I expressed this in this design. Can't you understand it? Can't you feel it? So actually, I realized this year that it was already there, but I couldn't connect it yet. I couldn't connect, like, this scientific world with what I was already feeling in my heart. But what I did, I switched to another master then. I went to study more into the field of environmental psychology. So I made a change to working more with the experience of people, but still on a scientific level. And I think, because of my burnout, and it was like the third time in my life I crashed, kind of. First, I had also a restrictive strain injury in my shoulder, so I have been ignoring my body for a long time. But when I had this burnout, I went to a Reiki master.
Mm-hmm.
I knew her from the yoga school because I was thinking, well, now's the time to really do it differently. This is the third time, and
So I want to take one step back and learn more about that story. So you're at school.
Yeah.
You built something with inspiration. You built something that you truly felt, and you got the feedback. Make it more practical. Make it more data-driven. And you switched to that master's in environmental psychology. And were you working in that field as your burnouts came up? Like, tell me more about where were those burnouts?
Yeah.
How did they show up in that process?
Mm-hmm. Well, first I studied here at the Technical University in Eindhoven, and there I did a course in environmental psychology, and after that also about perception, but it was again so technical, like how your eyes function and your ears. It was like, this is not the type of perception I want to learn about. So I switched to the University of Wageningen, and there it was more about talking to people about their perception, like more a qualitative kind of research. And I actually worked with older people as a student job.
Okay.
Thought, I really like their stories, like their experience in life. And I thought like, I wanted to do something with that in my thesis. So I did a research on how people experience their house when they become older and maybe need care or lose people. And so that has been like the red line in my working life, like how people experience their house or the building they work and live in, but from the user perspective. And I studied it in a qualitative way, but still not so much from the heart.
Okay, so you were starting to go from quantitative to qualitative, but not with an intuition line inside of it. What career were you working in while you were having the burnouts?
Well, my last I don't call the other what's a burnout, but it was like typical moments in my life, actually. Like I had the illness of fever. I don't know, it when I did my graduation at the high school.
Okay.
So then I was sick. And the second one was when I did my internship in an office where we sat 40 hours a day behind our desk. So in an environment, I wanted to show myself doing really well. So it's also about proving yourself and aiming high. But really, I disconnected from my body, I think.
And what was your body telling to you? What kind of symptoms were showing up in that space?
Pain in my shoulder. Like, really, I remember that when I was going to a therapist, and the first thing I had to do was moving like an empty paper box in my cupboard, like up and down. And that gave me pain in my shoulder, just actually only lifting the weight of my arm. So I had to learn everything from scratch, like brushing my teeth. I was everything doing in my upper body.
Wow.
Like, I'm showing it now on screen, but I think I loaded the world on my shoulders. Feeling responsible for everything, wanted to do really well. Thinking I should act in a certain way because I have been studying and I'm an intelligent person, so I should act this way and be in a certain way.
That experience that you're describing during your internship, was that the burnout in 2019?
No, I think that was in 2009.
Okay, so in 2009, you already had this first glimpse that things were not okay?
Yeah.
So what happened in those 10 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. Well, I had a really nice job at TNO, a research center in the Netherlands. And I had a nice job at the University for Applied Sciences in Eindhoven. And I thought one job is not enough. I combined it with another one. So I was also project leader in health institution for older people. And it was connected, but yeah, I started with 2 jobs at a point in my life, which was really intense. We bought the house where we live now. My mother lived her last months. And I was really like trying to keep my head above the water.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have this habit of combining everything. And when I'm busy, my old me was doing more things, trying more. So, and then I became a mother 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I tried to squeeze everything I did in 4 days, in 3 days. And then it's, yeah, I couldn't think anymore. My brain unplugged.
So how did the symptoms in 2019, when you really fully burnt out, how did it show up differently than it did in 2009?
Well, it was even more intense. And I think in 2009, I was alone. So I had only myself to take care of. And now I had a son and a husband and a family life.
Yeah.
And 2 jobs. Well, at that moment, I already quit one job. So I had 1 job. But
Did your shoulder pains come back? How was it showing up?
my burnout, well, it was literally like I couldn't think anymore. It was a big blur in my head because I made an appointment at the end of 2019 with my coach. And I said, I have to choose what to do because I'm doing too many things. And we were sitting there and I just couldn't get it straight. Like I didn't know if to go forth or back, left or right. And she told me, like, I think you are much far more exhausted than you realize. You have to say you're sick. I thought, okay, well, I say I'm sick. It's just before the Christmas holiday, and then after that, we'll see. But yeah, once you say and admit you are not right, then it all comes out. So I was just really tired and overstimulated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the thing that started to bring you back? Once you admitted you were sick and you were down, how long were you out? What did the recovery look like for you?
Well, for me, actually, it was the COVID period. It was a blessing, actually, because for a few months, I didn't have to do anything like the doctor.
Yeah.
She didn't call me because everybody was trying to find out what to do. So I didn't have to go back to my work. I was just being outside with my son who was just starting to walk. So, yeah. But then it started again with, I think it was in May. So after 4 months.
Yeah.
Then I started again with being at meetings, and I was sitting behind my screen, and I thought, this is not how I want to spend this period. I heard my my colleagues and what they were talking about. I thought, I just really don't want to go back to this world, which is even more chaotic when you have to do everything online, I think. So I thought, yeah, let's see this period as an opportunity, and what do I want to do in this period? So this is not working. I just wanted to be with myself. So actually, I decided not to reintegrate. I learned this term recently, like positive disintegration. So I disintegrated from my work. I decided to stop because I think also for me the burnout was also because I was not doing where my heart is or what my passion is.
Yeah, you were not in alignment.
No, I was not in alignment. So I quit my job actually. And also without any backup. So I invested some of my savings to be free. Yeah. And that was really nice and also difficult because then you hear the voice in your head even stronger about what you should do. Now you have the time. So I came across myself even more. I got to know myself. Yeah, I learned more about myself on another level. But at a certain point, I don't know. I start feeling that I wanted to do something. And yeah, for me, it always worked to do some kind of education or usually I first do the education and I start doing. So,
Okay.
and yeah, I wanted to be inspired again. And I had this, because of my grandmother died, I got an amount of money and I invested it in a year of feng shui.
Huh.
I really took the time to learn and working on our own house. So then gradually there came a shift because what really worked well for me is that your house asks you to just do it. It's visible, tangible, it's physical. You can really do it. And if you do it consciously and slowly, then it helped me really connect with how I feel. So I've been crying a lot last years. Yeah. And it also brought me to a coach. We went to relation therapy because a lot came out. Everything what we piled up in our house. Yeah, there came movement and it was good.
Yeah. The courage to know that it's not right and that it's not fitting, to take that step.
Mm.
How was that for you to make that decision?
Yeah, for some reason, it felt really powerful, actually. I felt really strong, actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Once I've admitted it for myself. And I think looking back, I've been on different, like also stopping with my study of architecture was also such a moment that I decided I'm not going to be an architect and do something else. That was also such a moment. And now, I also felt the adventure or something. Like, I felt deep inside that this was what I should do.
So that powerful moment of adventure, did you know where you were going? Like, it feels like that shift was quite a ways down the road for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a nice poem hanging above my desk, like, I know what my path is, but I don't know the destination. I know where I'm going, but I don't know how it looks like yet. Like this feeling.
Yeah.
That actually keeps me going. Especially when you are an entrepreneur. I think I'm insecure all the time. It came more than once a day. What was I? What am I doing?
What was I thinking when I decided to go on the road less traveled?
Yeah, what if something happens to me? There's a backup. I have a husband who works, fortunately. But I'm also kind of really on myself and building my own trust. Yeah, building my own trust and exploring and finding joy in it. Because that's what I've experienced throughout my life. Sometimes I step off the road. Like I was going to Japan, sitting there on my balcony in the heat, thinking, why did I go here? Nobody. But it all went well in the end, and I found my way. So I learned that I dive in, and then I don't.
But also that combination of things you were saying, how you're constantly combining, whether it's multiple jobs or disciplines. Now it's in that home space.
Yeah.
And when I asked you, do you like your career? You're like, every day it gets better.
Yeah. You're building more trust, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also, you're becoming more fully who you are. And that's where my house helps me in, because it's my own expression. And I see my expression every day. I come home with it. I go away. Yeah, I jump into new adventures from my house. So, it's my check-in and my check-out point now.
Tell me a bit more about how the home supports us in our adventures and finding our own trust. You talked a bit about how it can talk to you and you can feel into your house and you go slower?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I can explain this. Well, what you do when you go to a normal interior architect, like you get an image presented of what it can be, and then you get a color number, and this chair you should buy there. Like you get it like a fixed image, I think. But what I do is I look with people like, which movement do you want to bring in your life? For example, you want to be more vibrant, you want to give more space to yourself, you want to maybe give more room to the connections in your life. Like this movement, you can connect it to the elements of wood. So this is in Chinese philosophy, we work with 5 elements, and every element has its own colors, its own energy. Like wood is the element of spring, it's vibrant, it's the energy of connection, of personal growth. So then you can add elements of that in your house. For example, more plants or a green color on the wall or a fabric like cotton or linen. It's also connected to wood. So you look to, what food do you want to bring in your life, or which development you want to bring in your life, and what materials, which colors are connected to that. And this is, we understand it because it's our natural way of being. It's connected to nature, the natural cycle of how things are in the world. That's what you can feel.
So does a home stay static, or is it really tied to the phase you are in your life?
Yeah, I think it grows with you. Like people always ask me, like, is my own house feng shui? And I always say, oh, no, it's work in progress. Like, it's not like an outfit you change over one day. It's like, it grows with you. And we always advise people to do it slowly so you can feel the effect of it. So don't redesign your house in one day or 1 week or 1 month, but take years for it and then do it step by step.
How does that work in a family situation where different people need different things from the home and the spaces?
Yeah, that's also often the thing that people get stuck in. Like the husband wants something else than the women, where like children have other needs than parents. And what I also work with is Night Star Key. This is like
What is
Feng
that?
Shui. Yeah, Feng Shui works with the elements in your house. And Night Star Key, it works with the elements in us as a person. So some call it astrology, but it's not based on it's also originating in China. You will base it on your date of birth, but it's not working with the animals and the planets, but it's more working with the stars and the elements. So you can be more an earthy person, or maybe more fire in yourself. And it's a really intuitive way of describing how you move through life. Why I tell this is because I use this also in my advice. Like I show people, like, you are more a wood person, and they take decisions differently. Like wood is the energy of spring. It's enthusiastic. It sees quickly what is necessary. And earth, it's more the energy of thinking over things. It's like the steady ground under our feet. It also has its quality, but it's more thinking about it. So I give people insight in how they work and how the family system works. And then also how this relates to the house. So I think from an insight in how you function, it's easier to make decisions together. And the second thing is that, it's not about taste anymore. It's not about, I like this and I like that. It's about what's needed in your life.
Ooh.
So it's about, this corner of the house needs this energy or this element. And there you make a choice in together. So it limits actually all the choices you can make. When you want to choose a color, it's limited. It limits it to, a color of green because of the element of wood.
Yeah.
And it's easier to choose, and it's yeah, it brings it to a different level.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Can you understand this?
Oh, no, I totally do. Do you have tools and frameworks that you're using from your training? But it's also a very intuitive process. What does this space
Yeah.
need? Was it hard to move from that mindset of a researcher in technical environments to a state of trusting your intuition?
Yeah. I think I sometimes still struggle with it. Also, what I was learned is it's good to work with your head. And that's more actually, it's maybe more important than creating things. So that's what I recently noticed in myself, that I experienced a barrier to start making things with my hands. And this is because I have this like really strong conviction that it's when I go to my office and I work, I see myself sitting behind a computer. But actually, yeah, our intelligent brain can do much more things. And there's also this intuitive part. And this part in me says, I want to make things with my hands. So, yeah, this house also mirrors me. Like, why am I just not making time for just doing things in my house? Why am I sitting behind my desk doing things behind the computer? It's because I think somewhere I still have this conviction. But yeah, make the step to really work with my house. It's every time like letting myself, like I'm allowing myself to do it and to work with my hands and my intuition. So yeah, I can still feel sometimes the barrier in myself, but I also know how it feels when I'm working from my heart, and I can activate that more easily because it's just such a nice feeling. It's like the feeling of a loving presence, like this loving energy.
Oh,
It's kind of addictive, actually. So that's
yeah. That's
what
stepping into
keeps.
that love and that spark.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it hasn't been easy. And also, yeah, you start noticing what has been told to you throughout your life and how you perceive things. And I started to realize it's not who I truly am. So in our house, we have now soft curtains, softer colors, warm colors to remind me of, yeah, this is the movement I want to bring in my life. I may be softer and maybe more in my body.
Yeah. That softness, that movement. So, if someone is intrigued by this idea of how to use their house to start reconnecting with themselves, where they want to go, start to move into a place of intuition, where would you even start in this journey? Coming from an analytical skepticism, too much hocus pocus, where do you start in this journey?
Well, what I sometimes say to people is just make a moment for yourself and find a comfortable position in your house, maybe on a chair or your couch. Make a cup of tea. Just make sure you're calmly disturbed. Just sit down. And then just start looking around. Or first, what I first usually do is do a body scan. Like, how do I sit? Feel where your body touches the chair or the couch. Go with your attention to your breath. Feel how you're breathing. And then feel how you feel in the house. Yeah, I also do this when I visit people's houses. Like usually they're busy. Then we sit at the kitchen table and I start to make a habit of it to just start with a short meditation, just like I do now, just ground. Feel your body, feel how you're sitting. And then you feel people sink into themselves.
Right.
And then we can look at, what did I create around myself? How does it look like? Is it all the same colors or maybe different colors? What materials do I see? What do these stuff or items around me mean to me? How do I move to the house? Do I use every room? Or are there maybe rooms in the house I never come?
Yeah.
Or what I do now in the challenge is just come home or just approach your house consciously. Like you maybe your car or your bike and you just walk to the house and realize where you're walking. And how do I feel when I go to my house? Am I happy to be home again? Or actually am I already planning where to go next?
Yeah.
Like just slow down, literally walk slower.
So I see that it's hard materials or soft. I see the patterns and the colors. What do I do with that information?
Well, I think actually it's difficult to do something with it yourself because it's your daily environment, which is full of routines and unconscious behavior.
Ooh.
So I would say if you want to, go into it, I would advise you to ask somebody to help you,
Nice.
or a colleague, or for example, what I did with my own house, I arranged the tour with my husband, so he was leading me around the house, and I took pictures, and then I could look at it more from a distance. But it took me more than a year to study this area and to explain what I see. I think it's really difficult to do it as just a normal, average person. I have grown my consciousness on this topic, and I've worked with my own house. I've lived it through. And I think it's good to have an outsider to look with you. Like also, I learned that also from qualitative research, like the inhabitant or the owner of the house is the insider. And as an outsider, I help people to gain more consciousness in their process, like you do as a coach as well. Like you can think over and over yourself what you're doing and how your behavior is, but sometimes you need somebody else to bring it to the next level.
Yeah.
To gain a new insight, to ask questions. That's what I usually do. Just asking questions.
Yeah.
Just walking around through the house together. And that already does something. Me being there in your house.
Yeah.
Seeing your most private parts. I also sometimes look in a cupboard. Hi. How do you arrange your stuff? I look under the bed. And this is really intimate. So, and that's, what's really fulfills me every day, I think. When people allow me to be in their house and see what it is. That's really touching me when I'm telling this, like, this is the most intimate space.
Yeah.
When you go outside the door, standing at the play garden with your child, you can fresh up, do your makeup, just put a smile on. But when you're in the house of people, it's honest. You can't change it overnight. It's So I would advise to give yourself the present of asking somebody to help you.
Yeah. To give you that perspective and to ask the questions.
Yeah.
feel
And then you can work with it yourself.
Okay.
Because I make an analysis and I also present a plan with them, a floor plan, where to do what. But then you can make your own choices. So I give you an insight in the analysis. I give you an insight in how, from the analysis, I come to the solutions. And then you can work with it yourself.
Okay. But you need that perspective shift outside of your routines. There's a bit of a trap in our own minds and our own habits and routines and perspectives.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially in the house, you just, it's our unconscious mind producing unconscious behavior. Like, it's just our habits. It's just how we work, because else we will get crazy, I think, if we would perceive all the information from our environment consciously, then we would get crazy. So it's only like, some people say 2%, some people say 7% that we can perceive consciously.
Wow.
Like that you are in a room and you think by yourself, oh, this is green. But then you don't see the other part.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you for that. If people want to learn more about you, what you do, where can they connect with you?
Well, a few weeks ago, I launched my own website.
Congratulations.
So this is, thank you. It's also kind of a birth process, giving birth to my birth of my new me. So there I share my stories. There's also an article about the basic principles of feng shui. And I will add more also experiences of other people. It's in Dutch, but maybe you can run it through Google Translate. Well, I'm now doing a challenge on Instagram as an experiment. I'm not that much into social media because it's fast and fluid. But this is my challenge for myself. Become more visible and try if I can work with a group of people on feel more in our houses, slow down. So I think when this podcast is published, it's finished, but you can look it back.
Wonderful.
But my base camp is my website.
Wonderful.
That's where you can find my contact information.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. As we wrap up today's episode, I would like to ask you the final 5 questions I ask all of my guests. Are you ready?
Yes. Yes.
Let's do this. If I can ever find the questions. There. Okay. What is your definition of serenity?
My definition of serenity is, I would say, feeling of at home, but it's maybe so abstract. It's about, I would say peace of mind. And that you can gain this peace of mind by learning more about your environment and how it influences you from my professional perspective.
But the first thing you said was being at home? Is that what you said?
Yeah, feeling at peace.
Feeling at peace.
So peace where you are, in yourself, in your daily environment.
Beautiful. If you could master one skill instantly, what would it be?
Well, the word that comes into my mind is being bold.
Being
bold.
Ooh.
Being bold. I think actually, when I speak English, it's easier. I don't know. Not in your native language.
To be bold?
To be bold in the sense of speak up.
Oh.
Just show herself.
That's an interesting insight. What is your favorite method to recharge during the workday?
I like to go for a stroll outside. And when I'm at home, I also sometimes do a meditation after my lunch break to recharge.
Yeah. How long is that meditation usually for you?
Well, around 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice check-in session. What are you geeking out about right now?
I never use that word. What is geeking? Well, where I'm really into is the question. How I can make people feel how their environment feels for them.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm really experimenting on.
Oh, cool. Assume you've achieved the optimal work-life blend. How would you describe a typical day?
From morning to evening? Yeah. Well, I had a dream life meditation last year, and I saw myself waking up on a kind of lazy summer day when the sun shines through the curtains. We have time to cuddle in the bed with our son. I wake up, make a slow tea for myself, fresh herbs. I open the curtains, sun shines on my face, and I go to my working place where I write and create. And in between, I see myself talking with people at the kitchen table, being in their houses, make them creative again, feel their creative flow. Come home, where my husband cooks a nice dinner. So I only have to sit down and just eat. Relax, just a relaxing time. There are flowers, there's sunshine, and creativity. I think that's what I don't know if I already mentioned it, but most people who come to me already were creative in their lives. They made their own furniture, or they were sewing, but they lost it. Like they're just busy with their lives and being in their mind, being intelligent. So often it's also about coming back into your creative flow again. Like, I think all the wisdom is in yourself. You only have to start feeling it again. So my perfect day is creative and slow in the moment.
I can feel that. It's like, it's raw and honest and powerful. Like, it's really deep and beautiful.
I feel really relaxed while telling this. Like, oh, yeah. It's like the sun is shining here.
Thank you for sharing. And thank you for sharing your red line of finding that story and remembering the moments of inspiration and creativity, sharing the journey of all of the sort of ups and downs and burnouts, but still showing us where the pieces were that showed you and reminded you to take that bold action, that powerful action, to start the adventure and give us some insight on how to start to feel. Thank you so much. As we step away, what is the one thing you want the audience to take away from our discussion today?
Well, the invitation to start feeling again. To make room for yourself, literally. So maybe you can think, do you have space for yourself in your house? What's your place where you check in? Make room for yourself, for your true self. Start working on it. You're worth it. We are worth it. So there can be even more creativity and connectedness. Yeah, so you can live your potential. That's the word that always comes to my mind. See the potential of your environment again. And through it, your own potential.
Intrigued or inspired by today's episode, but forgot the details? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Visit engineeringserenity.com for a complete summary of today's episode, including timestamps, links, and other resources for your adventure. Wishing you strength and serenity, Evelyn out.